What do you do when you're looking to get to the next level? What do you do when you're looking to take your business to the next level, your personal relationship to the next level? What do you do when you're looking to have that breakthrough, when you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, when you're trying to get out of debt, or when you're finally trying to lose this weight once and once for all? What do you do when you want to put yourself in position of living your life's purpose and doing the thing that you were called to do, and go from just simply going through life and simply trying to make a living and positioning yourself to live your making? What do you do? And so that's a question that many of us ask. And so sometimes maybe perhaps you're looking for an elaborate response. You're looking for something and you're saying to yourself, what is the answer? Andy, I've been considering these questions. I've been trying to figure this thing out. And the answer is not going to be as complicated as you think. The answer is not going to be exactly what it is that you think. As a matter of fact, it's quite straightforward. And if you're a note taker, I want you to write this down. I'll tell you what you do. What you've got to do is you've got to be willing to do the work. And probably the person that has actually coined that phrase is Ivania Van Zant. And many of you have seen her and witnessed her. She's on the OWN network, and she's also an inspirational speaker, motivational speaker. But she is infamous for telling people over and over and over again that you've got to be willing to do the work. And so one of the things that I realize is that unfortunately most people don't realize their goals and their dreams. Most people aren't willing and aren't able to take their business to the next level. Most people aren't able to lose that weight once and for all. Most people aren't able to have fulfilling relationships. Most people aren't in position in which they're living this thing that they've been called to do. Why? Because they're not willing to do the work. That's right. They're not willing to put in the time, the effort, the energy. They're not willing to wake up early in the morning and attack the day, as opposed to just waiting for the day and waiting to just simply go through the day. They're not willing to go out and seek the mentorship. They're not willing to go to the workshops and the seminars and to read the books. They're not willing to stay up a little later so that they can continue to work on their goals and their dreams. They're not willing to practice their craft and take it to the next level. So in other words, unfortunately, they're not willing to do the work. And as I think about my own personal life and what it is that I'm doing right now, and as you hear this voice right now that's coming through you, that one of the things that I would say, I wish that one day I decided to just simply roll up out of my bed and started speaking. I wish that the ability that I have to connect with people and inspire them and share stories, to be able to transform them and make them want to act and make them want to do something in their lives. I wish that this was something that I was just able to do. And so oftentimes you'll watch someone as they're performing in their area, as they're doing what it is that they're doing, and you look at them and you say to yourself that, wow, they're lucky. Or you say to yourself that, wow, you know what, they just have a gift. And maybe perhaps they do have a gift, but one thing I can guarantee you is they had to do the work. And so the greatest basketball players in the world, yes, maybe perhaps they have athletic ability, but trust and believe they had to do the work. Yes, that if you look at some of the people that are powerful, amazing, transformational speakers, that maybe they've been given a gift, but I can tell you this, believe this, they've been doing the work. They put in the time, the effort, the energy. They're listening to other speakers. They're getting mentorship. They're actually developing their craft. They're developing content. They're pushing themselves in order to be able to perform at a certain level. And so you see people that are phenomenal business people, are great strategic thinkers. And yes, maybe perhaps they had the gift of thinking analytical, the gift of being strategic. But trust me on this, that they absolutely had to be willing to do the work. And so right now, I want you to think about the area in your life in which you have been wanting to take it to the next level, an area in your life in which you are trying to produce some significant results, an area in your life in which you have been trying to put yourself in position to do the thing that you know that you've been called to do. And the question that you need to ask yourself is this: have you been putting in the work? Have you been putting in the time and the effort? I know that right now, as you're listening to my voice, that you're listening to the byproduct of putting in the work, of sitting behind the computer and listening to hours after hours, years after years of time of listening to some of the best speakers on the planet. You're listening to the end product of attending workshops and seminars. You're listening of the product of getting one-on-one individual coaching, of getting on the airplanes and going to different workshops and seminars to develop different areas. You're listening to the end product of picking up the books and the tapes to read. And what I'm telling you is, at some point in whatever it is that you're looking to do, you have to be willing to do the work. And so the question is, if we know that we have to do the work, and that doing the work is a necessity to take our business to the next level. Doing the work is a necessity in order to produce the results that we want. Doing the work is a necessity to have a fruitful marriage and relationship. Doing the work is a necessity in order to purge all the negative experiences in the back and step into this thing that we've been called to do. Doing the work is a necessity in order to get out of debt. Doing the work is a necessity in order to become financially independent. Doing the work is a necessity in order to produce the fruit that we want. And so the question is, if it's a necessity and if we know that we have to do the work, the question is, why is it that most people aren't willing to do the work? Why is it that most people, unfortunately, aren't producing the results that they want? And so when you think about that, one of the things that I could tell you, and if you can get this, if you can just comprehend this simple concept that I'm going to share with you, it's going to position you to have a breakthrough. It's going to position you to do the work. It's going to position you to produce the results. And so when I think about that question, why is it that most people don't do the work? And so here's one of the things that I realize is that most people don't do the work because most people, unfortunately, haven't identified the value. And so you say, Andy, what do you mean they haven't identified the value? And so I'm going to give you an example first so you can understand what it is that I'm saying. And then I want you to apply it to your own life. And so many of you know that over the years that I've been blessed and privileged enough to get the coaching and the mentorship and had produced some very good results investing in real estate. And over the years, I've invested in real estate and I continue to invest in real estate. And there's one particular time during my, I guess you would say, real estate investment career that what I used to do was something called really flip homes. And so many of you have seen a lot of these shows on television that have glamorized the whole idea of flipping homes. And so you know that what do investors do? They seek and identify a property that needs some repairs, that needs some work. And what they do is, of course, they fix the property, they remodel it, and then they hope to sell it for a profit. And so I've had the privilege of having, found properties, actually invested in them, bought the property, repaired the bathrooms, remodeled the kitchen, redid the flooring, added central AC, put a new roof, and then put it back on the market for a premium and was able to make a profit. Now, here's one of the things, and here's one of the things that I realized, that before I ever took my hard-earned money, and actually purchased a piece of real estate, before I actually went to a bank and got a loan and was willing to make the mortgage payments, including interest on a piece of property, before I put in the time and the effort to be dealing with contractors and meeting them there on a daily basis and making runs to Home Depot and the local hardware store in order to buy my appliances, before I took the time to come out with a game plan on how I was going to remodel the bathroom or how I was going to remodel the kitchen or what I was going to do in order to create value and what price I was going to put it back on the market at, before I did any of those activities, before I did an ounce of investment, the very first thing that I did was I first determined that there was value there. In other words, I didn't purchase a property unless I knew that there was going to be value on the backside. I didn't spend any time or effort or energy or resources actually investing in the property until I first knew that the actual value was there. And so here's what I realized, that unfortunately most people aren't willing to do the work. most people aren't willing to put in the time and the effort and the energy. Why? Because they haven't first established the fact that the value is there. In other words, they don't see the value in themselves. And because of that, they're not willing to do the work. Why? Because most of us would never make an investment, and that includes an investment in yourself, if there's not an expectation that you're going to get a return on your investment. If there's not an expectation that something good is going to come out of it. If there's not an expectation that you're going to lose the weight. If there's not an expectation that you're going to develop your voice. If there's not an expectation that you're going to take your business to the next level. If there's not an expectation that you're going to make an impact with your gift. And so what I realize is that unfortunately most people don't do the work. They're not willing to go and get the mentorship. They're not willing to actually invest in themselves. They're not willing to pick up the books and the tapes and do the things that are required. Why? Because they don't see the value in themselves. And where you do not see value, you do not invest. Where you do not see value, you do not put time. And what I'm saying to you is this: if there's something that you want to take to the next level, something that you want to put your time and effort and energy in, that you want to develop this thing and take it to the next level, realize this, that you would never be willing to do the work until you first establish that you have something to work with. In other words, you have to first establish the very fact that you are enough. You have what it takes, that you're worth investing the time and effort and energy for. Your dreams, your goals are worth waking up a little earlier for, going to sleep a little later for. That actually becoming financially independent is worth you putting in the time and the effort in working your business. In other words, before you can actually begin to do the work, a part of you has to acknowledge the fact that there is value there. I'm so hoping that you get this. I need you to get this. That understand this, that most of us are not willing to put in the work to invest in our goals and our dreams. We're not willing to put in the work to invest in our relationships. That we're not willing to put in the work to invest in our health. We're not willing to put in the work to develop our gifts, our skills, our talents, the things that we already possess, because somehow, some way, we have failed to see the existing value. And so the person that doesn't recognize the fact that they have an extraordinary gift, the person who doesn't recognize the fact that they've been given this extraordinary talent, that person will never invest in what it is that they possess because they're not even aware of the fact that they have it. And so I witness and I watch people, because of the space that I'm in personal development, I witness and watch people do this all the time. An opportunity presents itself for them to invest in themselves. An opportunity presents itself for them to do the very thing that they say that they want to do. And when the opportunity presents itself, what do? They backpedal. They come up with an excuse. They do something in order to sabotage themselves so they do not act. And so the issue is not that they don't see value in the opportunity. The issue is not that they don't see value in the coaching. The issue is not that they don't see value in reading the book. The issue is not that they don't see value in waking up early and working a little harder and going to sleep a little later and actually going to the gym and creating a budget. The issue is not that they don't see value in the activity. The issue is they don't see value in themselves. And so because they don't see the value, they're not willing to make the investment. Because the reality of it is, none of us ever makes an investment without an expectation that there is going to be a return, without an expectation that you're going to benefit, without an expectation that something is going to happen. So if without even realizing it, you haven't put value on yourself, and you haven't put value on your gifts, and you haven't put value on your relationships, and you haven't put value on your health, and you haven't put value in actually having financial freedom, and you haven't put value in establishing a strong personal relationship with your creator, if you don't see the actual value there, then unfortunately, you will never do the work. You will never actually invest. And so the first thing that you've got to do is you've got to first establish up front that there's value there. And there's value regardless of what your circumstances are. There's value regardless of your past failures and disappointments. There's value because of who you are, and not just because of who you are, but there's value there because of whose you are. And your circumstances and the things that you've produced thus far is not always reflective of who you are, and it's not always reflective of whose you are. And so you have to, within yourself, identify that there is something special about you. You have to, within yourself, identify that there is gifts, there is talents, something that is unique and special to you. You have to identify that you, your gift, your dreams, your talent, your relationship, your health, and your things that you're looking to accomplish, that the investment is worth doing. And until you do that, you will never, ever do the work. You just won't do the work until you first see the value. And so your first challenge is to see and acknowledge and recognize the value. That you are enough, that you're worth making this investment. You're worth doing the work. And so once you finally have gotten past that particular mental block and now you've pushed forward, the next thing is that really trips people up when it's time to do the work is, unfortunately, most people don't know where to invest their time and their effort. So in other words, now they've made the decision that, okay, Andy, you've convinced me that I'm worth making the investment. It's worth me doing the work. But what happens is now when people are doing the work, all too often, unfortunately, they're spending their time in the wrong place. And you say, well, Andy, where should I be spending my time? Well, let me ask you a question. Have you ever heard the expression growing up? Have you ever heard people tell you, listen, you need to work on your weaknesses. You need to really try to improve your weaknesses. If there's an area that you know that you're not very good at, you need to put in the time and the effort. And so here's what I'll tell you, that they were well intended when they gave you that advice. But unfortunately, that advice is not going to allow you to produce any significant results. Why? Because you need to work on your strengths and outsource your weaknesses. You need to work on your strength and delegate your weaknesses. You need to work on your strengths. Why don't you want to invest your time on trying to improve all the areas in which you're weak to become average? Because what you will do is you will become average in many different places. And unfortunately, when you are average in many different places, what you tend to produce is below average results. And so many of us are putting in the work, but unfortunately, we're putting in the work in the wrong place. And what we need to do is be thinking about what is the area in which you are already very strong? What is the area in which you have your gifting? What is the area in which, if you actually spent time perfecting this thing and putting in the time, the effort, and the energy, that you would go from just being good to being extraordinary, that you would go from just being average to being exceptional? And so the reason why is we don't want the person who has the skill of communication to be working on another skill set to become average at that. No, they should be continuing to work on the skill set of effective communication. Why? So they can continue to enhance that and make more impact. The person who's a great or pretty good business person wants to not become average in all the other areas. No, they want to continue to put in the time, the effort, and energy in perfecting their business skills. The person who is a pretty good singer and has that as a gift, they don't want to become average and start learning how to play a bunch of instruments and so forth and being average at everything. No, they want to put in the time, the effort, developing that voice, working on that voice, creating range in that voice, taking it to the next level. And so many of you right now, you have a gift. There's something that you have the capacity to do. There's something that comes to you a little easier than everything else. There's something that when others look on at you, they say, man, that this is an area in which you have a gift. This is an area in which you have a talent. But unfortunately, you're not putting in the time and the effort on that gift to take it to where it needs to go because you're busy working on your weaknesses. You're busy working on other things and putting in your time and your effort. And what does that do? It creates an average human being. And unfortunately, we're at a place right now where average no longer produces average results. No, if you put forth average effort, you're going to produce below average results. If you put forth good effort, guess what? Good doesn't even produce good results anymore. Good effort, most of the time, will produce average results. If you want to actually create good results, you have to be willing to put up great effort. And now great effort will give you good results. And if you want to produce greatness, then what you have to be willing to do is you've got to be excellent or be outstanding. We had this discussion just the other day when I was at Tony Robbins' event, the UPW event. Because now we're in a world where no longer now is it a linear relationship. Good no longer produces good results. Average no longer produces average results. And so if you're a person that's giving forth below average results, trust and believe with below average results, let me tell you what you're going to produce. You're going to produce something that's called failure. And if you want to produce what is considered average results, you better be putting forth some good effort. And if you want to produce good results, you better be putting forth some great effort, because it's no longer a linear relationship. Unfortunately, and somebody wrote a book that said average is over. And so unfortunately now you can't just aim at the mark, you got to aim above it, which is going to be our next point. But before I get to the next point, I need you to understand this. Be mindful of where you're putting in the work. You want to put in the work where it's going to give you the greatest reward. You want to put in the work where your gifting is. You want to put in the work where your talents are. You want to put in the work at this place where you're already operating above average. So as you continue to put in the work and develop this skill, as you continue to expand your network, as you continue to put yourself in the presence of other people who are operating at high levels, as you continue to increase in your level of consciousness, as you continue to put in the work and do the work and do the work and do the work, what you will find is you'll begin to separate yourself from the rest. You'll begin to make your mark. You'll begin to no longer just blend in with everybody else as just simply average. And so the reason why most people aren't willing to do the work is why? Number one, we said that they don't see the value. And first, you must see the value in yourself. You must see the value in your dream. You must see the value in your goals. You must see the value in your talents and the things that you bring to the table. The second thing is, once you begin to do the work, you have to be mindful of where you're putting in your time and the effort. Forget that whole thing about working on your weaknesses. No, play towards your strengths. Work on your strengths and outsource your weaknesses. And finally, once you begin to do the work, what I'm saying to do is you've got to aim above the result you're trying to produce. Write that down. Aim above the result that you're trying to produce. And so I just explained that to you. Why? Because unfortunately, good does not produce good. Average does not produce average. If you put forth average effort, you will get below average results. If you put forth good effort, you will get average results. If you put forth great effort, you will get good results. If you want great results, you've got to put forth exceptional, outstanding, extraordinary effort just to get great results. And so many of us, unfortunately, we're not producing the results that we want when we begin to do the work. Why? Because as we look at our target, we're aiming directly at the target. And so what we're not accounting for is this thing called gravity. And so here's what you've got to understand. If you were to hold an object in your hand, whether it was a rock, a frisbee, a football, And if you were looking at a target that was, let's say, maybe perhaps 20 feet away from you, 10 feet away from you, if when you throw that object, the baseball, the football, the frisbee, the rock, whatever it is that you're going to throw, if you throw it at the exact level of the thing that you're attempting to hit, I can assure you of something: every single time you will miss the mark. And you say, well, why? It is just a universal law. It is something called gravity. From the moment you release your dream, from the moment you release whatever it is that you're going to throw out into the world, from the moment that you release this goal, from the moment that you release this ambition, this thing that you want, the moment you release it from your mind, the moment you release it from your hand, there's something called gravity that the moment you release it is attempting to pull it down, and it will pull it down. So what it means is that when you're looking to create a result with your gifts and your talents, when you're looking to create a result within your business, when you're looking to create a result, what it means is that you've got to aim where? Above the actual result that you're trying to accomplish. Because the law says gravity, but we call it also this thing called life. And so what life will do the moment you decide to set forth a goal, a dream, ambition, or something that you're looking to do, the moment you release it into the universe, the moment you release it into the world, the moment you release it into your environment, your world, the environment, the universe, the people around you are going to automatically weigh it down and pull it down. And so what it means is you have to overcompensate for that. You have to calculate for that. You have to understand that that is a universal law. Gravity exists. So what it means is you have to actually aim above the mark in order to hit the mark. I need you to get that. You're going to have to aim above the mark in order to hit the mark. And so when you think about your goals and your dreams, and whatever it is that you're looking to accomplish, I want you to think about whatever it is that you're looking to accomplish. And then once you focus and understand what it is that you're looking to accomplish, I want you now to significantly increase your goals and your dreams, significantly increase your vision, significantly increase what you're looking to accomplish. Why? Because you've got to overcompensate for this thing called life. You've got to compensate for this thing called gravity. And so if you're attempting to hit that mark, you have to aim above the mark that you're trying to hit. And so that is why when most people finally begin to do the work, when they finally convince themselves to do the work, unfortunately, that is why they're not producing the results that they want. Because they're aiming at the mark or they're aiming below the mark. And when you aim at the mark or below the mark, one thing is guaranteed: you will actually hit below whatever it is that you're aiming at. And so whatever it is that you're looking to accomplish, what I need you to do is I need you to dig deep. I need you to expand your vision. I need you to increase your effort. I need you to draw from a different place so that you can actually aim above the mark that you're trying to hit. And so don't let anybody fool you. Don't let them make you think that you're going to be able to accomplish your goals and your dreams and do the things that you're looking to do without doing the work. And that's why I love that expression. I love it. You've got to do the work. There's no shortcuts. Don't let anybody fool you. When it comes to your goals and your dreams, writing the book, you got to do the work. You want to lose the weight? You got to do the work. You want to actually build a brand? You better do the work. You want to be able to use your gifts and your talents in order to start a new career? You need to do the work. You want a promotion? You better do the work. You want to make an impact? You better do the work. You want to start a nonprofit organization? You've got to do the work. You want to become debt free? You better do the work. You want to have great physical health? You better do the work. You want to increase your energy? You better do the work. You want to defy the odds and everything that the doctor told you? You better do the work. Do the work. do the work, do the work. And then once again, let me remind you that once you decide to do the work, understand that most people don't even get to the point where they're doing the work. Why? Because they don't see the value. And so no one else has to tell you or validate you. You need to validate yourself and say to yourself that I'm worth it, not just because of who I am, but because of whose I am. I've got gifts, I've got talents, I've got dreams, I've got something in me. And because I've got this thing in me, it's worth doing the work. So acknowledge the fact that the value is already there. It's waiting on you to put up the time and the effort and the energy. And once you start doing the work, don't attempt to just simply work on your weaknesses. No, I want you to work towards your strengths, work towards your talents, develop those things and outsource your weaknesses. Why? Because that's how greatness is accomplished. That's how extraordinary is achieved. That is the only way that you'll be able to show up for your life and make your mark. And then finally, whatever it is that you're looking to accomplish, whatever goal you're looking to hit, whatever the target is, make sure that you aim above the target, aim above it, increase your effort, increase your vision, increase your energy, because you have to go above the mark in order to hit the mark. And ultimately, you have to do the work. Yeah. I wish it was something more elaborate. I wish it was some kind of complicated secret formula. But it's not. The people who produce results, the people who are making things happen, the people who are showing up for their lives, they're the people who are doing the work. And so the only question really left to ask you is, are you willing to do the work? This has been Andy Henriquez reminding you to always show up for your life. Because if you don't,